welcome back to Jamieson's Repair Shop. Go back on the convertible again. So now, in the last video, we did the floor pan, front driver's side floor pan. And I was trying to make up my mind what to do with the seat pedestal because I want to fill in the floor on this and it's rusted underneath the seat pedestal. So let's just open the door up and we'll see what we're talking about here. Most of you do because you've been watching the channel. But anybody that's not familiar with what I'm talking about, this area where the front seats go, is called the seat pedestal. And it goes from this side over the transmission tunnel to the other side. So in the comments on the last video when I did the floor pan here, it was an overwhelming yes, take the seat pedestal out. And I agree 100%. I'm really curious to see what's underneath there. Troy thinks maybe there's some rare coins. Who knows? Who knows what's underneath the seat pedestal? I doubt if they're too rare, but who knows? We'll take it off and find out. So that's what we're doing in this video. We're going to start pulling this pedestal out. So what needs to get done, first thing, is to find the spot welds along the inner structure here on both sides. Well, I'll start with one side. And it appears to be spot welded down. But I'm going to bring you in and I'll show you what the plan is here. So let's get the camera over here and we'll have a look. It's spot welded along here on both sides. It's welded with a stick welder or a MIG here. I'm not sure what they used. And in the front, it appears to be just spot welded. And then of course, the flange that runs along the floor itself, which ties it all into the floor and over the hump. Well, not over the hump. All the floor pan area is spot welded. And I'm just going to turn you a little bit here. And hopefully you can see this. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But the hump, the transmission tunnel, that's what I'm talking about, this area here, that's not spot welded. That was welded with a stick welder or a MIG welder again. So it's in a couple of spots. It's like the first one's down here. And I think there's one in here. There's one there, one there, one there, and one there. I don't think there's anything on the top of it. And it's the same on the other side. So what we do on this side over here, we will be doing the same on the other side. And that's coming out in one piece. So there's a lot of spot welds to get out. Fortunately, well, fortunately, not fortunately, however you want to look at it, a lot of the floor on this side and the other side, it's rusted back underneath of it. We have these console mounting brackets, and I'm just going to cut them off. I'm going to cut them off in a way that makes it easy to weld them back on, and they'll also serve as a guide to reinstall this. Mind you, there'll be lots of spot weld holes. So that's kind of what the plan is right now. First part is, though, we need to reveal these spot welds. So I'm going to get my fiber grinding discs out on the air grinder. And I'm going to go over these flanges and see what we can show. I'm not going to worry about the front because it's all rusted away. It's gone. I'll probably have to go underneath and cut along in this side of the frame rail that goes underneath. Because the frame rail, if you hadn't watched the last video or when I went underneath, talked about this. This is the frame rail that runs back from the torque box and it goes up underneath this. And the floor pan is actually between the frame rail and the seat pedestal. And that's the whole issue here. And there's actually a hole here. So all this has to be fixed. So I would probably cut this side of the frame rail, take the spot welds out here and on the frame rail side and work from there. It's a lot of work, but I think really it'll be a nice job when I'm done, and then I'm sure that it has good metal underneath and I can actually rust treat underneath that seat pedestal. It looks to be in decent shape, so I'm not too worried about the condition of the seat pedestal. If there is a little bit of work, it's just on the flanges, which I think there's a couple spots, but other than that, it's in nice shape. So if I can get it out without destroying everything, hey, it's just sheet metal. If I do bend something up, I'll fix it up. All right, so let's get at it. I'll get the grinder and we'll clean up those those seams, see how they look. Those flanges rather, and see how they look. Well, there now. That's about half of it out. I don't know how it is up here yet. I've opened those holes up, and I'm gonna go to the other side now and break all the spot welds that I can get, and then cut those console brackets, same as I did on this side. You'll notice that I went with a 3/8. First off, let's start with these. I bought these bits not too long ago, knowing I'd have this job to do. They're short, what they call stubbies, heavy duty split point stubby drills. So they're by Champion 1705. So far, they're working quite well. Quite impressed with them. Like any high-speed drill bit, if you crank your speed up, you're gonna burn the end off it. So just go slow and keep your speed down, and you'll have good luck with it. And then after I did that, I jumped up to a 3/8, same deal, don't go crazy on the speed. And when I couldn't get it out, I stepped up to a 1/2 inch bit. Same deal, don't go crazy with the speed. But it's all loose here now on this side. So she's loosened up there, and I cut right up to here. There's no frame rail under this part here, so we didn't have to worry about that. But this is rotted out anyway, so I just cut it right up to the edge of the rock. And I did the same over here. If I have to weld a slit back in, this metal is fairly solid. It's got a little surface rust on it, but it's pretty solid. And this is where the frame rail is. And I haven't opened those up yet, I noticed. So I have to open those up with a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to go over to the other side. Oh yeah, no, the same deal with all these MIG welds or arc welds, whatever they put in there for these. I had the 3 steps, 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch. Goes well. You can almost hear them, the couple of them actually, when you use the 1/2 inch bit, you'll hear it snap. They've released, you know they've released. And you know what? Just weld the holes back up and go from there. So alright, that's half of it. Half of it, I think. Alright, let's go with the I think part for now. And we'll jump on the other side now. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Before I take off the other side, I'm going to have to go underneath and split the sheet metal beside the frame rail on both sides to release this from that. And then after I do that, I can flip this over and get rid of that old sheet metal. And this tool right here comes in pretty handy. I've had it for a while now. You can see I got some pretty heavy duty, needs to be resharpened a bit, but yeah, one of these work well. Someone in the last comments mentioned it about getting one. It might have been Nova No Go. I'm sorry if I got the wrong person, but it was mentioned in the last video in the comments, and they gave the part numbers for one similar to this. It wasn't the same, but similar to this, so that was nice. And I'm sorry if I forgotten who it was. There she's out. See how rough it is in underneath the pedestal? It's pretty rough. The actual pedestal is in pretty good shape. I don't think this was ever really fully primed, and it's still shiny metal under there. Some of it has primer where it oversprayed, but most of it's like still like the day it was put in. Anyway, a little tip. I struggled here a bit, bent the tunnel up a bit, but I'll hammer that out. There's a couple of spot welds. It seems like they put one on this side in the back and one in the front over there. I guess their machine could reach. So if you're going to do this job, there are two spot welds at the top of the tunnel. On this car it was on one on the right side on the front right, and the back left on the driver's side right there. Other than that, it's pretty much holding in by the frame extension there, and floor pans, and that's it. That's all it holds us in. So now I have it out, I can build new floor for that. And I thought this actually had some, it does, looks like it has a little bit of a pattern to it, but it's really hard to tell because this car was lifted a couple of times. It has some dinges from the forks when it was in the scrapyard, so I don't know if that over there was just pressure or is this just a flat piece of steel. I don't suppose it would hurt to put just a flat piece in there. It's going to be well supported with the seat pedestal again. Anyway, let's get this out, have a look at it. There she is out on the floor. Now, quite a bit of work to do to this. I cut a couple flanges off just to make it easier. They were rusted in part of it anyway, so I'll reflange any place that needs to be reflanged. And this is how the seat, just so you know, there's nothing, yeah, both sides. So these standoffs are for where the seat bolts go through. So when you tighten up the seat, it doesn't compress the floor pan. So they're in good shape. A little scale on them, but not bad. So I'm going to de-rust them all. I'll de-rust them. I'll rust treat them rather. And then I'll prime red oxide inside. And that's more than it had when it was new. And over here we already went through this. The couple of spot welds you got to be aware of. You might have noticed me also on these plug welds that were done in the factory. I drilled them out to 1/2 inch, and then I took my chisel. I don't have it right here with me. This big red chisel, it fits right in the 1/2 inch hole, and a small sledge, and you can push back the metal away from where it was welded, and it's a little easier. Just a little trick, anybody's interested. So if you have areas that are like big areas like that, and you just want to knock the weld off, just put it in the hole, 1/2 inch or whatever size of chisel you have. This is a 1/2 inch. and hit it with a sledge, and it'll pop those right off. It's just these ones I didn't know they were there, and they give me some struggle. But that's her. One seat pedestal out. Well, that's good work. Not as hard as I thought it was going to be. The drilling of the spot welds was pretty easy. A lot of cutting where the sheet metal was rusted out. So, I mean, if you're taking it out on your own vehicle, if you have one of these cars, most likely you're in the same situation. So, it wasn't that bad. This was the hardest part because I didn't recognize that there were two spot welds there. Now you know. So, if you're doing it, you got one leg up on me. All right, guys. I'm going to continue cleaning this thing all up. And next video, I'll be putting in the floor pans and probably show some of this cleanup on this. It's pretty straightforward. I'll grind off the old steel and re-weld some flanges on, and rust treat it and all that jazz, like I said. But that's it. The old car didn't break in half, so that was nice. Anyway, you guys have a great week, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.